Hey, it's Carl, your host at Damage Hitter. Today we're talking about player development, our first step. Really excited to talk and discuss this with you today, so come on inside and let's get started. Hey guys, it's me, Carl, your host here at Damage Hitter, and I really appreciate you coming by. Today we're talking about player development, our first step. So it's important that we start this thing out today talking about exactly what our intent is. Player development is quite simply the best way that you can find to improve your player. Knowing this, we have to understand exactly who we are as players, parents, and coaches. It's a really simple concept. We're constantly growing and developing to improve our skills at everything we do. But today we're specifically talking about baseball players, baseball parents, and baseball coaches. And what I found in my time here is that we're so stuck in the area that we're good or we're bad that we reduce our ability to grow and develop. So I want to make sure I emphasize this very extreme point. We're only as good today as we're supposed to be, and we're working on growth and development of our players. Player development does not mean I have a practice, then I'm really good on Saturday. I have a practice, then I'm really good tomorrow. Player development means that over time, we see that the player is taking the information that we're applying to them and they're getting better and growing over that time to improve. So many people will call me and ask me, well, you want to have hitting instruction, man? How many lessons will it take for us to get someplace? Well, my first question is, where are you trying to go? In order to answer that question, if you're just trying to be better than little Johnny on your team, then I might be able to give you an answer to that. But if your goal is to go from 5th grade into a solid middle school player, from a solid middle school player into a solid or better than solid high school player, from a solid high school player into a better or better than solid college player, and from college onto a better than solid professional player, then it's going to take you a lifetime of growth, because hitting a baseball, understanding the concepts of baseball, is what some would argue the hardest thing to do in all of sport. So you got to have a mindset of what it is you're trying to accomplish. That starts most times with us parents. We are deciding if a player's good enough, bad enough, has potential, all those things. But ultimately it comes down to one thing for good parents. We want to provide our child with a better opportunity than we had to reach their goals. Some of us it's to have fun, some of us it's to have a great experience, but we want to provide them this great opportunity. In order to do that, what we have to figure out is how we're going to help them develop without retarding their growth. And here's what I found is the best way to do that. I've talked about it numerous times. I'm going to implement it again today. It's the growth mindset. Understanding where we are today isn't who we're going to be. Understanding that if we're working constantly and consistently on growing and developing with the right information, the right people in our life to show us that information and motivate us properly, help us stay motivated properly, and the proper focus, we will develop, grow, and become better. The fixed mindset is where most of us are on a regular basis. We're really good today, or we're really bad today, and that's who we are. The reality is we're not really bad or really good. We're just who we are, working on growing to develop and become who we would like to be. And the way we do that is by taking our time to put ourselves in the best position to grow, develop, and understand growth and development. Simply said, if you take your time, understanding that I see what we're working on and I'm adding to it and I'm growing it, then performance will be secondary to what we really need to do to improve. What will be first and foremost will be the fact that I see my hitter picking good pitches and taking a good swing. I see my hitter emotionally handling himself at the box and making adjustments. I see my hitter not allowing outside circumstance to change how he goes about his business. And I see my hitter maturing and knowing when he's done a good job and had a good result, when he's done a good job, had a poor result, when he's done a bad job and had a good result, he's done a bad job and had a poor result. I know he knows the difference, he's willing to discuss it, and he's using his time in order to learn how to validate what he's working on to what's going on. That will be when I know he's maturing to the place where he can develop the most. With that said, if I'm behind him regularly talking about his performance, saying, I know he can do better, I can't believe he's striking out, it doesn't seem like he's growing, I'm giving those information out to his coach, to his other parent, to his siblings, and sometimes directly to him, I'm slowing down his growth by keeping him in the fixed mindset. So I got to tell him, hey man, wasn't a great day today. What did you do well? Okay, nothing? Great. What did you do poorly? Understood. So you've done a little bit well, you've done a little bit poorly. What can we do better next time? Okay. Normally it comes down to the amount of practice and the amount of focus on their practice, how much we develop. So the growth mindset player is ready to practice regularly at home on his own. The growth mindset player is ready to come in and tell me, hey, I understand what was going on this weekend. I missed 2 pitches I should have hit. I was late on one. I really put 3 good swings on some balls. And oh, by the way, I went 2 for 5 with a weak single and a hard double. Instead of, how'd it go this weekend? Not very good. Well, why not? I didn't get any hits. Well, hitting's hard. You're not supposed to get any hits. What's supposed to happen is the guy on the mound is supposed to get you out. He's got the advantage, and we know going in it's difficult. So we're working on developing and growing and creating a system that allows us to feel some form of success, even though the grade card doesn't say we got an A+. That is quite simply already established with your hitter by the mantra we speak every day. We're putting our best swing on pitches we can handle and we like each and every time. There's no reason for a bad swing. Before we start talking about how many hits did you get, what was your batting average, we have to establish the player developed mindset of we're going to create a great swing every single time. Now, many of you guys are looking at me like, Carl, we've been doing this for a few years, and so for you guys, it's time to step forward. It's time to step forward and say, hey, I'm putting good swings on balls. Now am I adjusting? A good swing on a ball where I pull off, or I'm trying to pull pitches I shouldn't be trying to pull, or I haven't identified what's going on, is a great swing, but now it's time for you to mature, grow, and develop into the next level. I'm trying to stay inside this ball. I'm trying to get through contact. I'm trying to pick a pitch that I know is coming based on the fact that I watched the whole game. I'm doing all these little things, but it starts with a simple concept of understanding development. Understanding the foundation of development. Here's where I started. Here's where I go next. Here's where I'm headed. And then I'm doing these things because it makes me feel like I'm doing a good job at what I want to do. When I'm doing a poor job, I can say, hey, this is a mistake I made. Let's move on. When you're so frustrated because you didn't get a hit or your player didn't get a hit, and you leave out the fact that they are doing the things they're supposed to do, then we are retarding that player's growth. I can tell you guys from 1996 until today, I've watched thousands of players grow and develop. Those players are growing and developing despite the fact that we're all locked in the fixed mindset. As soon as they cross the bridge over to the growth mindset, they become ready for player development. This foundation in hitting, because it's the most exciting part of the game for most of us, establishes a foundation for fielding, establishes a foundation for base running, it establishes a foundation for throwing, it establishes a foundation for a full concept of the game, which then further takes us further into a foundation for life. We know what it is we're supposed to do. If we're a salesman, then I'm going to get a bunch of rejections. Those rejections are not going to change how I deliver. If we are a doctor, then I'm going to have a lot of patients who don't do what I ask them to do. But it doesn't stop my foundation knowing that I need to deliver. I need to come here with the basic fundamentals and deliver. And that's what we're doing as a hitter. The basic fundamentals of delivering our best swing every time applied to, okay, picking a better pitch, okay, applied now to game situations, and stop worrying about, am I ready to be a varsity player? Am I ready to be a college recruit? Am I ready to be committed? Those things are great and they're coming. But if that's our focus, then we're skipping a fundamental part of player development, growth and development, parental development that will only set us up for failure in the long run. Now, Carl, how could that set us up for failure? Very simple, very simple. We've skipped parts of the development process that are the foundation, and they are what it takes in order for you, when it gets hard, for you to go back to in order to get past the hard spots. Other players have those foundations, so when you meet them at the varsity level and they're doing them and they're not having to relearn them, or they just need a quick little nudge to relearn them, then they develop and grow faster than you, even if they have less skills, even if they have less talent, even if they have less other baseball things. because they aren't stuck in their own way trying to develop over and above the lack of understanding development concepts, the lack of understanding of I'm a player getting better. It's a growth mindset that allows me the freedom not to be tied down by my own mentality of success versus failure. Those players who leave home or leave their middle school going to high school knowing that they're trying to get better, not trying to be a star on the varsity, grow better. Those players who leave home from a high school in order to go to a college knowing that they're there to grow and develop, they will perform better. The earlier we have failure, quote unquote, the earlier we deal with hard things, the better off it is for us when we get out in the real world, whatever that is for us. If we think high school varsity is the real world, if we think college is the real world, if we think pro ball is the real world, or if we think postgraduate, I got a real job and a wife and kids is the real world, the better we handle those things and learn how to handle them with the growth mindset and the player development idea, the better we will respond in the long run. Now, I know for a fact that this is being slowed by me, the coach, me, the parent, and me, the individual who's bringing you the information. Because I get into, how many hits did you get? Man, great job, you hit a home run. I get into that as much as anybody else. And I don't want to stop that. I just want to know that at some point, I'm clear with my mind and my vision, I'm on the right track, and we're doing player development. Now, player development is built swings every day at home, ground balls 2-3 times a week, throwing 3 times a week, working on my running 3 times a week, lifting my weights 3 to 6 times a week, eating properly every day. These are the things that help player development be a focus of what we're doing. I know that I'm only as strong today as I prepared to be for the last 6 months, and I'll get stronger. What I don't know is how strong can I become? I know I'm as fast today as I've prepared to be. What I don't know is how fast will I be? I know I'm as good a hitter as today as I've planned to be. Sometimes the results don't show that great, but I know what kind of hitter I am. I'm not less of a hitter today because I went 0 for 4. I'm not more of a hitter today because I went 5 for 5. I'm as good as I can be in this time and area. And anybody who wants to go against that, then I'll tell you what you do. Take your son or daughter to the big league field, have a big league pitcher pitch to them, and see how many hits they get. They're not ready. And they're not going to be ready. So if you tell them they're a superstar and they're a slam dunk, no doubt, Power 5 player, why can't they get a hit at the big league level? Because they're not ready yet. They may develop to a slam dunk Power 5 player, but the reality is today, they're just a middle school player who's trying to get better, a grade school player who's trying to get better, a high school player who's trying to get better. And for anybody to come out and tell you before the time is right that you're a slam dunk player at the next level, they're slowing your growth. Okay? In order to be a slam dunk player at the next level, number one, your bat's gonna have to be really good. Number two, you're gonna have to be able to play defense in a way that leaves no question that when you're out there, outs are gonna be made, routine and special. In order for you to be a slam dunk player at the Power 5 level, you're going to have an accurate arm that throws well every single time. Then, and most importantly, what you're gonna have to do is go to the Power 5 school that you're a slam dunk at, perform all fall, and show that with all those other slam dunk Power 5 players, you're one of the best 9. Then at that point, you're a slam dunk Power 5 player. But until then, we're not even close. We're not even close. Speculating and projecting is great. However, Power 5 coaches aren't playing many players, not many, some are happening, but not many, on speculation, projection. They're not doing it. They're speculating and projecting on some youth, but with zero commitment. And that's another story for another day, so I'll leave it there. Player development, the foundation is a growth mindset, mom, dad, us developing a mentality that's about development and growth and not how good are we today. Now, that's all I got. Until next time, when in doubt, hit it out.